जिस देश में बलिदान की बात न हो वह मिट्टी नहीं खिलौना है हम उस धरती के वारिस है जिसके जर्रे में वीर रस का मंजर है वेलकम बैक टू मराठी शाला टुडे वी प्रेजेंट द मोस्ट पावरफुल emotionally resonant and award winning 15th August Independence Day speech in English specifically crafted for elders teachers and senior speakers to deliver with absolute dignity. If you want to mesmerize your audience and stand out of the crowd, you can get the exact word to word ready to print PDF script of this entire masterclass speech for just 99. The official download link is waiting for you right below in the description box. Watch this video until the very end, master the perfect tone, and let's begin the speech. वतन की मिट्टी को हम नमन करते हैं, इसके आंचल में हम खुशी से रहते हैं। ये देश नहीं हमारी जान है, इसका सम्मान ही हमारा ईमान है। Respected chief guest, proud protectors of our nations, dear teachers and my lovely brothers and sisters, good morning and a very happy Independence Day to you all. Look around us today. Every heart is full of pride. The sky looks beautiful with our three-colored flag. Today is not just a regular day on the calendar. It is the day to celebrate our true freedom. It is the day to remember that our country never gave up, even in the darkest times. गूंज रहा है दुनिया में हिंदुस्तान का नारा, चमक रहा है आसमान में खुशियों का सितारा। आजादी के इस पावन दिन पर झूम रहा है देश हमारा, देश हमारा। We are the children of great history. India once called the golden bird. We are a nation built on peace, love, and great minds. As our beautiful flag flies high in the wind today, it reminds us of a big story. It is a story of our brave heroes who gave up everything just so we could live and study in absolute peace. Today we are here to thank those heroes, to celebrate our beautiful country, and to promise that we will make India's future even brighter. Freedom is never given, it is owned by those who dares to stand up. Before 1947, our rich land was under the British control for 200 long years. They did not come to help us, they came to take away our wealth and our rights. But they made one big mistake. They forgot that you can chain a body, but you can never chain the spirit of an Indian. Brave heroes like Mahatma Gandhi, Bhagat Singh, and Chandrasekhar Azad rose up like a storm. They had the powerful dream summarized in the beautiful words Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. Millions of common people joined hands, leaving their homes and families to march for freedom. After years of painful struggles, the magical moment finally arrived in the midnight of 15th August 1947. As the clock struck 12, while the rest of the world slept, India awoke to brand a new life. The British flag came down forever, and our beautiful tricolor flew high in the sky for the very first time. That glorious night changed our destiny and proved the world that unity can bring down the mightiest empires. To know true price of our freedom, let us look at the roaring storm of our struggle. This is not a regular story. This is a story of iron hearts, fearless minds, and fire that broke the heavy chains of slavery. As the great poet said, सरफरोश की तमन्ना अब हमारे दिल में है देखना है जोर कितना बाजुए का तिल में है look into the dark central jail of Lahore. See the 23-year-old roaring tiger Bhagat Singh on his very final night. He was reading a book calmly. When the guards came with the shaking hands to take him away, he looked up and laughed. He closed the book and said, wait, one revolutionary is busy meeting another revolutionary. He walked to the gallows like a king going into the throne. He kissed the rough rope, adjusted it himself, and shouted Jai Hind with a smile at that terrified British Empire. Now turn your eyes to the brutal prison of Kalapani, lost in the middle of deep ocean. There stands the fearless Veer Savarkar. Locked in a teeny dark room, the British gave him heavy iron chains and heavy work break his spirit. But how do you lock away a thunderstorm with no pen paper? He used the sharp thorns and nails to scratch thousands of patriotic poems directly onto the stone of walls. He proved that an Indian's mind can never be chained. Suddenly, the scene shifts to the dusty roads of our India. We see Mahatma Gandhi walking firmly with his wooden stick during the Salt March. He had no swords, no guns, and no armies. He used different weapons, the pure explosive power of Satyagraha and Upasana. With truth in his heart and prayer on his lips, he lifted the tiny lump of salt from the mud, and that one small move sent a massive shock wave across the world and broke the pride of the entire British Empire. But listen closely. The fire of freedom was burning even in the hearts of small children. Think of little Shirish Kumar, a brave 15-year-old from Maharashtra. He marched on the streets holding our tricolor with high in his small hands. British police pointed loaded gun at his chest and roared, "Drop the flag." Did he run away? Did he get scared? No. He stood like a solid rock. The failed bullet took his life, but he collapsed with a Bharat Mata Ki Jai on his lips, keeping our flag flying in high until his very last breath. And let us never forget the clever young tigers of Karnataka, the brave boys like Tiger Murthy. These boys used their sharp brains to make mockery of a British security. In the dead of night, they would climb up British government buildings like monkeys. With fearless hearts, they would pull down the foreign flags, host our glorious tricolor, and run away into the dark. The next morning, the British officers would stare at our flag, scratching their heads in anger, while our young boys laughed from the streets. These are the glorious blood that flows through our veins today. Our freedom was not given to us, it was fought by kids, owned by heroes, and written in the spirit of ultimate bravery. With a fearless hearts and souls so bright, our heroes rose to join the fight. Young Bhagat Singh went laughing high with Azad shouting under the sky. Savarkar wrote on Prism's wall as Gandhi led the peaceful calls. Tirish and Murthy gave their youth protect the flag and shield the truth. Brave Netaji formed his marching band to crush the chains across our land. The Rani of Jhansi held her sword and fought against the foreign lord. Great Tilak woke the nation's pride with Sukhadev Rajguru by his side. They gave their lives, they gave their all to make our mighty nation tall. When celebration our 15th August ended, the citizens of brand new India woke up to the very harsh and painful reality. The British rulers left behind a nation that was completely broken, deeply poor, and struggling to survive from day to day. The pain of broken land, the worst crisis was partition of India. Millions of people suddenly have to leave their ancestral homeland, everything they owned. Over 10 to 12 million refugees crossed borders on foot, in a block carts and crowded trains troops. They arrived in a new India with no money, no extra clothes, and no place to live, no food, and extreme poverty. The British left India economy in ruins. Nearly 80% of our people were living in deeply poverty. Most families did not even have a money to buy the basic food grains and single pair of decent clothes. India could not grow enough food to feed its own population because of farming system were totally outdated. In those first days, India has a beg richer foreign countries to ship food grain to our ports just to save the millions of citizens from starving, living in tents and schools. Since there were no houses for the millions of refugees, large cities like Delhi and Mumbai turned into massive tent cities. Historic monuments, public parks, and school buildings become the temporary camps. Families of 10 or 12 people lived inside the single cloth tent. There was no clean drinking water, no electricity, and no proper toilets. Diseases spreads very quickly in these crowded camps. No industries or no jobs. There were almost no big factories, no modern machines, no jobs for the youth. More than 85% of Indians could not read or write. People lived completely on a small traditional farming, which depends entirely on rain. If the monsoon rain failed, families had to skip meals for weeks. How everyday Indians survived. Even with the no basic things, the spirit of people did not break. Neighbors helped neighbors. Families who had very little shared their small portion of rice and dal with the complete strangers who had lost everything in partition. Teachers taught the children under the shade of trees because school buildings were full of refugees. People worked for 14 to 16 hours of a day in farm and in small shops, stitching old clothes and rebuilding broken houses with their bare hands. This was the true, difficult beginning of our nation. Our grandparents did not start with a grand buildings or a great wealth. They started with empty pockets, heavy hearts, but powerful determination to rebuild India from the scratch. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the but ladies and gentlemen, this is the exactly where the true miracles of India begins. Our grandparents were broken, but they were not defeated. Their pockets were empty, but their hearts were overflowing with a fierce new motivation. They realized that dark nights of slavery was finally over, and dawn the rebuilding India was entirely in own hands. They looked at the ruins left behind by the British and made a collective unspoken vow that they would never let this nation fall, and they would build a country so strong no foreign power could ever took down upon us again. This collective grit becomes the fuel for an monumental transformation. Our farmers who were once begging for foreign food grains rose up with a revolutionary determination. Though the Green Revolution, they rolled up their sleeves, toiled day and night in a burning sun, and turned out barren fields into golden lands of abundance. With a single generation, they transformed India from starving nation into the food surplus powerhouse that today feeds not just itself but millions across the globe. Our weavers and laborers whose thumbs were once brutally cut off, our colonial rulers started setting up local industries with their bare scared hands, and they built our first indigenous factories, l- laid down thousands of kilometers of railway lines, and forged the heavy steel foundations of our modern cities. They also knew that physical rebuilding was not enough. They had the broke their chains of mental slavery. Parents who could not read and write a single word work 16 hours a day just to send their children to school under the shades of tree. In tiny mud classroom and inside the crowded refugees camps, a new generations of India doctors, scientists and engineers was born. These were the children who grew up to build the Indian Institution of Technology, the great dams and the space centers of the great dams and space centers that would later shock the world. Our ancestors did not wait the grand budgets of foreign aid. They used their sweat as ink in their dedication as hammer to rewrite the destiny of our country from absolute scratch. They turned their heaviest heartbreak to the greatest strength, proving to entire universe that you can break the Indian's home, but you can never break the Indian's spirit. Look at where that unstoppable spirit has brought us today. The very nation that was left completely broken and predicted to collapse has risen to become the world's fourth largest economy. Today, we are not the begging for foreign aid, we are driving a global growth engine. Whenever ISRO scientists launch the rockets to the dark side of the moon, or when the digital technology empowers a small village vendors to make the transaction with a single click, the entire world watches its absolute from starving nation we had transformed into the global Vishwa Bandhu, a trusted friend to the world, exporting life-saving medicines and standing tall as a symbol of global peace, health and stability. This is the modern India our ancestors dreamed of, a nation that does not fear anyone, nor does it look down upon everyone, but stands proud and equal among the global superpowers. But, ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate this incredible progress and sleep peacefully in our homes, we must ask who guards this freedom? Who ensures that sacrifice of our ancestors was not in vain? The answer lies in the freezing peaks of Siachen, in the scorching sands of Rajasthan, and in the dense jungles of Northeast. It is our shield, our pride, that Indian army. They do not look at the calendar of holiday, nor do they look at the weather before standing guard. For an Indian soldier, the nation is first home, and the uniform is his shroud, and safety of his citizens is absolute breath. They give up there today so you and I can live our tomorrow. To honor these brave protectors of our soil, let us recite these deeply respectful lines. सीमाओं पर खड़े है वो हमारा अभिमान है, उनके हौसले के आगे झुकता है आसमान है, वतन की हिफाजत ही जिनका ईमान और मजहब है, उन वीर जवानों के दम से ही सुरक्षित ए हिंदुस्तान है, सुरक्षित ए हिंदुस्तान है. Let us salute the blood of our ancestors, the sweat of our innovators, and ultimate sacrifice of our soldiers. Together, let us vow to take the nation to even greater heights. But, ladies and gentlemen, as a proud citizen and a realistic speaker, I cannot stand on this platform and only talk about our glorious achievements. Today, we must face a deeply alarming and uncomfortable truth. While our ancestors used their bare hands to break the iron chains, today youth is willingly locked itself behind a digital screen. We are living in a paradoxical India. On one hand, we are celebrating a hyper digitalized world with high speed internet and artificial intelligence. On the other hand, we are witnessing the rise of fragile, distracted, and lazy generation that possesses zero real world skills and has forgotten the definition of genuine hard work. Let me give you a very simple illustration that we see in every neighborhood today. Imagine a typical 19-year-old sitting on a couch in a comfortable room. 79 years ago, a 19-year-old Bhagat Singh was reading heavy philosophy book inside a dark suffocation prism cell and preparing his mind to shake an entire empire. But today's 19-year-old is sitting on a couch scrolling mindlessly through a 5-second short video reels for 6 hours straight. He's chasing a digital validation through the virtual skills and comments while his physical body becoming weak and mind becomes impatient. If you ask him about India's freedom struggle, he does not know. If you ask him to build a practical skill, code a program to fix a machine or to sweat out in a sport field, he makes an excuses. We have transformed from generation. What happened to the dream of our ancestors? Did you suffer the horror of patriotism? What happened to the dream of our ancestors? Did they suffer the horrors of partition and the pain of empty pockets just to see their grandchildren become digitalized zombies? Absolutely not. You cannot build a developed superpower on the shoulders of unskilled, lazy population that freak hard work. Technology is a tool to conquer the world, not cage to trap your mind. Therefore, I call upon the youth of this great nation today. It is the time to wake up, put down those phones, break free from digital illusion and step out into the real world. You can choose any field you desire, become a scientist, a doctor, an entrepreneur, creator, an artist, or a farmer. But whatever you do it with absolute dedication, do it with a burning heart, and do it with an unyielding commitment to your motherland. True patriotism today does not require you to die at the border. It requires you to live for the country by building your skills, respecting honest labors, and contributing to the society. Let your work, let your hard work be ultimate answer to the sacrifice of our ancestors. Let us rise, let us build, let us take our India, take absolute peak of global glory. छोड़ो ए आभासी दुनिया, छोड़ो ए आभासी दुनिया, तुम असली संसार चुनो, 5 इंच की स्क्रीन से बाहर देश का उज्जवल काल बनो। पुरखों ने दी कुर्बानी थी तुमको आजाद कराने को, रैंक और रील्स में खो मत देना भारत को इस अफसाने को। जागो ए भारत के युवाओं, अब आलस की जंजीर तोड़ो, अपने हुनर और पसीनों को रुक अब राष्ट्र निर्माण से जोड़ो। कल भगत सिंह ने फंदा चुना, आज तुम्हें कुछ करना है, करके कड़ी मेहनत इस माटी का झोला खुशियों से भरना है। केवल अधिकार न मांगो तुम, अपने कर्तव्यों को भी पहचानो। सच्ची देशभक्ति है कर्म तुम्हारा, इस कड़क सत्य को तुम मानो। बनकर कर्मवीर तुम निकलो, अब हर मुश्किल को आसान करो। विज्ञान कला या खेल कूद में ऊंचा भारत का मान करो। तुम ही संकल्प हो नए इस देश का, तुम ही इस युग की धड़कन हो। तुम्हारे कंधों पर टिकी प्रगति, तुम ही माटी के चंदन हो। उठो, बढ़ो और थाम लो बागडोर इस विकसित भारत की, तुम्हारी रगों में बहती है वो पावन ज्वाला पुरखों की। As I conclude, let us remember that truest form of independence is not just a date on calendar, but a daily commitment to integrity, empathy, and intellectual growth. Let us leave this space today not just with a pride in our heart, but with a silent vow to the anchors of discipline for the next generation, guiding them from a digital illusion back to the country of honest, dedicated labor. Once again, I wish each and every one of you and beloved motherland a glorious, purposeful, and deeply blessed Independence Day. May our collective wisdom keep the flame of ancestors burning bright forever. Thank you, stay blessed, and Jai Hind.